Thank you all for being here this morning. It's a great opportunity for the athletics department to finally unveil to you a lot of work that's been ongoing for the last 18 months with the facility master plan. And there's a lot of people that I need to thank as part of this. We started this 18 months ago. We've had conversations, and I've had conversations with President Gee and Central Administration through Rob Alsop about our goals and what we're trying to achieve as a department as we move forward. And I appreciate both of their support as we work through this and try to make this vision become a reality as we move forward. Internally, it's been a team effort. We have a couple of people here today: Kelly Zinn, Steve Urias, Simon Dover, Sam Monroe, Bill Lynn, April Messerly, Ben Murray, have all been part of this ongoing project. A number of hours that's spent with our architects to visualize what we wanted to happen, different options that we looked at as we move forward, and looked at the opportunities we have in front of us. We've also had the opportunity to bring this in front of the foundation board. A couple months ago, we have some of the foundation, BJ, and some of his senior staff here today that will be an important part as we move forward in the campaign and working together. So appreciate the foundation and Cindy and your staff, for what you will help us as we go through this project and move forwards. We've also had a chance to have a preliminary review by the Board of Governors of this project as we move forward with the project. As each phase comes to fruition, we will go back to the board for their final approval through the normal university process to make this happen as well. So we have kind of had some preliminary work that's been done already with this, and as we move forward, we'll continue to keep those involved abreast of the happenings. You may be sitting there today asking yourself the question of why. Why are we doing this? This is the next important step for our department. As you all know, the first step when first got here 3.5 years ago was looking at the fan enhancements. We've done a lot of things for the fan enhancements for our staff, or for our fans, and looking at that from the Coliseum in this building, the concourse at Milan Pushkar Stadium, the concourse, the concession stands, just the aesthetics of the whole area. Now's time for us to look back now for our student athletes. As we go through this today, as you'll see, the campaign is going to be called Climbing Higher. As a department, we can't stay where we are today. We got to keep moving forward and climbing higher as a department. These facilities are important. We want to take what we have and reinvest to our student athletes for them to have first-class facilities to be able to compete and train at the highest levels. It also gives us the opportunity to look at our future for our recruits and help in that regard of the facilities that they would ultimately compete and train in, and will help the future success of our athletic programs as we move forward. The thing that we've studied the last couple of years is where are we compared to others nationally and also within the Big 12 Conference. And I can tell you with a lot of our facilities that we are not where we need to be successful as an athletic program and moving forward in the area that we try to compete and recruit, from a facility standpoint. So that's the why that we need to do this. The how, as I just mentioned, is working, through our campaign with the Mountaineer Athletic Club, the Foundation, and Mountaineer Nation to raise the funds that we need to have these projects become life. We realize it's aggressive. When I roll this out, it'll be over about $100 million worth of projects that we have that we're looking forward to building. The time frame that I would like to see it is within the next 5 years. And we know that's aggressive, but we also understand that if we don't make changes changes and move forward, we're going to be going backwards. As you've noticed here in the last 3.5, 4 years, there's been a lot of building. You know, I'm under the philosophy is if we don't have construction going on and moving forward, then we're going to go backwards. So our goal is to continue moving forward as this department, having our teams be able to compete at the highest level and giving our student athletes the best facilities to train and compete in within the conference as well as nationally. So with that being said, let's kind of roll out to you all some of the changes that are coming online. The Pushkar Center Complex is the first. As you'll see, the training room, training table, academic center, the WVU locker room, student athletes lounge, hall of traditions, equipment room, coach's office, team meeting rooms, and visiting team facilities. The training table, training room. As you probably saw yesterday, the training room was unveiled. That was one of the first projects that we have as part of this project. I can't thank enough the partnership that we have with WVU Medicine, Albert Wright and his staff of partnering, you know, to make things happen within our department. One of the first and foremost was partnering with WVU Medicine for our medical care for our student athletes. The expediency and the work that now is happening with our student athletes in first-class facilities is something very, very important to our program. Unfortunately, in this business, you know, student athletes will have injuries, and we want them to be taken care of by first-class doctors and also by first-class facilities. And by having what we have today, we're achieving that goal. Training table will be used for the first time today, again with our partnership with Sodexo, our dining partner. This came to life last year. They've worked tirelessly over the summer to make that happen. We'll have more information rolling out in the next several days about the training table. But again, first-class facility and help through Sodexo, our dining partner, to make that happen. The facility itself, a whole new facelift. What we're looking at here is coming off of Don Nehlen Drive, going down into to the facility. You'll have a new area of the Hall of Fame. Move the Hall of Fame from the back of the building to the front of the building, kind of what we have in the basketball practice facility right now. I feel a lot of times it's underutilized because the location of the building. This would move it to the front, be more visible to the public. This is a shot from a nighttime view, which would be lit and be able to showcase our successes and traditions of WVU football. And then this area in the front is a new facade on the entire front of the building. This is another shot of that. Up top is new offices. That's a picture of the head coach's office that would be renovated. And then this section here is the entry to the new academic center area of the facility. This whole master plan in this identifies approximately 72,000 square feet of renovation, and then there'll be approximately 14,000 square feet of new area as part of this renovation and updates. This area is the bottom part is the locker room area, expanded locker room, expanded team lounge area. As we talked about, these are photos of the hydrotherapy room that's new to the training room, as well as expanded space in that training room for our student athletes, the rehab area of that. This is a bird's eye view of the lounge area for our student athletes, which almost doubles in size from the lounge area. Again, some of the gaming area, ping pong tables, air hockey, pool tables, couches, TVs, the amount of time that our student athletes spend in these buildings, and to have the opportunity to have a place to go during the off hours is very important. The locker room itself would increase by about 5,000 square feet, which almost, I'd say, close to doubles the size. What happens in this area, which would be the kind of the second phase, and this is all the phase project. Before we start our own team locker room, we have to do another phase, which we will start after this year season, which will be expanding and building a new visiting team locker room. That will give us the opportunity to then blow out the wall that is currently there between our locker room and the visiting team locker room to have that expanded space in that specific area. So that will give us more room. The thing that's important in this project is it is the domino effect. One thing has to happen before the next thing can occur. So it's not like we can start one project. We can't start our own team locker room until we have the visitors locker room up and running. So it is a phased project as we move forward with this. The other areas of that building, the team rooms, these two are team rooms. We have the huge team room for the entire team. This would be a smaller team room for offense, defense, a type of settings. These would go into position team rooms. Again, smaller but more comfortable, being able to have our coaches teach and develop our student athletes from that standpoint. This is a picture of an expanded academic area, a larger study area for roughly 125, 130 student athletes on our football squad. We get a little tight with current space that we have right now, so that would be additional academic area, which would go back into the back corner of where the current Hall of Fame sits currently right now. We'll move on to the Coliseum Complex. Roughly $35 million of renovations in this area. Again, part of the process is the Coliseum apron, the Olympic sports weight room and training room, shell building renovations, shell connector, and interior Coliseum upgrades. Interior Coliseum upgrades would include new seating, new lights, new premium areas, which would also, that premium area, which I've talked to the media about in the past, would be a new media area closer to the locker rooms in the future. What else am I missing there? I think that's really it from the Coliseum. There will also be from the Coliseum, which I'll touch on, the apron here in a second, but the photos you see here is actually the Natatorium, as well as the new Olympic sport weight room. With the opportunity we have now with the aquatic and track center moving out to Milan Park, that has freed up this space that we looked at one time. Kind of funny how things roll out is when I first got here, some of the monies that we had, that the Olympic sport weight room was part of that initial project. With some of the overruns that we had in the Coliseum, this gave us an opportunity to go back and look at what we currently had. Now that the aquatic center is moving out, this gave us an opportunity to look at that space. Our architects worked very hard, and I'll show some of the inside of that, but this is looking from the Coliseum down to actually where the pool is located, and tearing that wall out and making that the Olympic sport weight room. These are outside, coming from the Coliseum, more of a terraced, updated aesthetic look from that. And then up front, again, the Natatorium, I believe, was built in 1975, the shell building in 1980, and they haven't been touched since that time. This will give us a uniform look as you drive up Monongalia Boulevard. Same kind of design that you have in the basketball practice facility, so you have a uniform look as you move down the corridor. Expanded walkways, expanded parking. It's not shown on here, but with the track moving out, the plan is to add additional parking for the Coliseum at the track, which would give us additional 500 spaces in that specific area. This is just a bird's eye view again. Looking back, basketball practice facility, and a bird's eye view of the shell and the connector. Coliseum apron, this would do away with the red apron that we've had for a number of years. I won't go into the red apron. A lot of people know that's not one of my favorite things, is the red apron. Add concrete, pavers, different doorways, new landscaping. One thing it's not shown in here is we are looking at with the business school looking at a new building and tearing down Stansbury Hall. We are looking at capturing some of Stansbury Hall and doing some type of, I guess, monument or something that recognizes Stansbury Hall and the tradition of Mountaineer basketball starting there. So some of the bricks and pavers and different things we'll look at as we move forward to have some recognition of Stansbury Hall on the Coliseum apron so we don't lose our history and tradition of basketball. But as you see, more pull-off areas, additional lighting, ballards that you won't be able to drive up on the apron. I joke with Joyce Buckaloo, that's her overflow parking. It will not be used for overflow parking from that point on. But additional lighting. As you all know, leaving the Coliseum at night, it can be very dark. This would light it up, give it a fresh new look from the landscaping, as well as all the new concrete around the entire building. This is the inside shot of the Olympic sports weight room. Again, this is long overdue. Not only as the weight room, and I'll talk about, this is the weight room. Back in here would be a new, and I'll show, I think there's another picture of that, which would be the training room with a hydrotherapy room as part of that. But it gives you all that space for our Olympic sport teams. You have to look at it from the big picture. Basketball has their training room in the basketball practice facility. Football has their strength and conditioning area over in the Pushkar Center. This area is used for about 350 of our student athletes. So it gives them an opportunity to have more space. Downstairs would be the weightlifting area. Upstairs would be more the aerobic area and the machines, small lounge area. The back part would ultimately be a student athlete lounge area for all the Olympic sports. As you can see, looking back now towards the Coliseum, that would be the Coliseum, and then that would be the stairs to the second level. This is the training room. Looking at it from the glass, this would be the glass. That's the hydrotherapy area, just renovated or updated new training area for the Olympic sports. This would be a shared team lounge and locker rooms. Team lounge would be upstairs of that. Locker rooms. Mentioned the locker rooms. It's much needed. A lot of the space is underneath that's used by swimming and diving now for their locker rooms. That would be part of this. Would be able also to have that area for additional locker rooms for some of our sports teams. Some of our sports teams currently right now do not have locker rooms. That's not what I want as Director of Athletics, and we will look at opportunities for space to have locker rooms for every one of our teams. Don't have renderings for the shell building, but the shell building itself would get a new surface, track surface, new lighting, new paint. The outside wall facing Holly Field would be blown out. Additional space would be put in there for storage, as well as an erg room for our rowing team, and additional space as needed in future restrooms, which we currently don't have down there. In case we have events in that facility, there's restrooms currently in the building, but you have to walk up the hall, down the hall, to your left, to your right. It's a jigsaw puzzle getting there. So this will have restrooms in the shell building, for events. It would clean out that building. I want to stress also that building is not only athletics, the shell building is used by CPAS. So there's a lot of activity that goes on in that building, not only from the athletic standpoint, but also from a classroom standpoint through CPAS, and we'll work with the university as we move forward with that. Cary Gym. Cary Gym's approximately a $5 million project, training room, added gym space, upgraded locker room, student athlete lounge, study area, team meeting space, cardio and rehab space, and storage space. Again, some of the renderings of the added gym space, the cardio area, rehab area, lounge area for the student athletes, from two different, or locker room, lounge area, for the student athletes in that gym. Again, approximately 25 years old. Cary Gym has not had any updates in that time. So this would be our vision for the future of Cary Gym. Also, WVU Golf Complex. It's about a $5 million project, team clubhouse, locker room, 6 indoor hitting bays, driving range, short game area, putting green, and multiple green practice course. Before I go through these drawings, I think it's important when we reestablish the sport of golf. Coach Kovich has done a great job with our program. But you look at golf in the Big 12 Conference, it is the best conference for golf. If you look, Oklahoma State won the national championship this year. I believe Texas or Oklahoma won the year before, and Texas or Oklahoma the year before that. So the last 3 national championships in golf have been won by Big 12 teams. This gives Coach Kovich a chance to continue to build our program and move it in the right direction. The hitting bays, or the 6 hitting bays that you see there. This is the building. That would be the driving range, the 6 hitting bays. Those would be heated, so in the wintertime, January, February, when you just have cold days, snow's not on the ground, you can roll up those doors, be able to hit out, see the flight of the ball. The course itself is a 6-hole course. When I call it a course, it's a number of configurations. I think, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, there's 27 different holes, configurations that you can have. You can have a par 3, you can have a par 5, you can have a par 4. You can have so many different configurations that allow the student athlete, and actually they can go out there, not only play it as a practice course, but coach could also use this as a qualifying course for his student athletes as well. So there's just a lot of different things that we could do here. What our plan is right now, this location is at off Goshen Road at 146, exit 146, which is currently, or was, the White Day Golf Course for a number of years. We are currently in a lease to purchase that land as we speak. It's approximately 95 acres of land. This would not utilize the entire, some of that is wooded area. This would not utilize all of the vacant land that we have, and we'll look at future there. But this is looking at the bridge. This is that overview looking back towards the hillsides. And then this area right here is the team lounge and locker room area that would be overlooking the entire practice facility course. Oop. This is the training room. I'd like to show you the video of what we've already done. This is another step in the direction to help our capital with new facilities, make our program grow in the right direction. Not only do we go about it, but passion. Before I turn it over to questions, I do want to emphasize these are not wants. These are needs. These are needs for our student athletes. These are needs for our department to continue to grow as a program and move forward. We picked the tagline of climbing higher, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we stress to our coaches. That's what we stress to our student athletes, and give more and more each and every day. We have a program here. We have people in the state of West Virginia that will be proud of our athletic programs as we continue to grow and climb higher. The support that we need, as I mentioned earlier, I realize this is aggressive, but I also realize we have some extraordinary people in Mountaineer Nation to support our university, to support our athletics program, and this is something that we need to do to move forward and have our programs be on the national level. So with that, I will open it up for questions.
change perception on the drawings, but the Push Car Center looked like it had a different second floor. Is it just going to be on the same footprint, same level, or is it going to go higher?
It's on the same footprint. So it's obviously you have the first and second level. The first level was the locker rooms, the weight room, all that was in the training room, which you just saw, is still on the first level. Second level is still all the same. Some expanded out in the Hall of Fame area. That would be a new section of that building, but it's still only 2 levels.
You said spread over 5 years is your goal. Priorities, order of projects?
Order of projects is really the funding as it comes in. We could do multiple projects at any given time. So obviously we can be doing things at football, can be doing things at the apron and the Coliseum Complex at the same time. So depends, at the wishes of the donors and then the money that comes in to say, I want this money to go to this specific area. We will look at that and see where that falls within the construction phase and what we can do. Everything really other than the Push Car Center can be done without the phasing. Obviously the weight room is a phasing project for the Olympic sport weight room because we have to wait until swimming gets out, which would be September of 19. Track it will be finished here of 20 or 19, and track will be done in September of 18. So that is, the look at that. But everything else, we're going to be aggressive with it and move forward as fast as we can.
Separate fundraising efforts for each one of these, separate targeted things by the MAC and the foundation? Yeah,
I think it's targeted. I think it's a matter of the MAC has already been going out talking about this and what opportunities we have. So we will, look at for their assistance as we move forward with this and the needs and wants of our donors and making sure that, we look at it. It's all needed. So it's a matter of moving forward with that. Obviously, I think the most important is upgrading the football and the Push Car Center. If you look nationally of what's happening out there, we're getting way behind in the league. Just to be completely candid, our facilities in the league is probably 10th in the league from a football standpoint, from an operations center. For those of you who have traveled, they've seen it. You know what we're competing against. So no one wants to be last, and as your director of athletics, I don't want to be last. Football's competing at a very, very high level. We need to keep them competing at a high level. Men's basketball, women's basketball continue to compete at a high level. I think women's soccer, and I use that as examples. Those teams are competing at a high level. My own opinion, one of the reasons why is some of the facilities they have to be able to recruit to. So I think some of the success that you have is a result of what you can recruit to, and we need all of our sports across the board to have that opportunity.
Shane, have you compared it with regional universities to see? Because I imagine a lot of the kids that you recruit from this area, not that area.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at it, you go to Virginia Tech, you go to Maryland, you go to Penn State, you go to Ohio State, Kentucky. You keep on looking at what we're recruiting against. Obviously, Coach is going a lot into North Carolina. We'll have an opportunity to see NC State this year. I was there. You've seen Wake Forest. I mean, the opportunities that I've had in my professional career, being in the ACC for 10 years, I saw what was happening there. I've seen what's happened in the Big 12. I've seen what's happened in the SEC. Seen some things that's happened in the Big 10 conference. So, it's, if you want to call it an arms race, I think you can call it that. We're not doing anything exorbitant. We're just making sure what we have. The best analogy I've given is updating our wardrobe. Our wardrobe's 20 years old. We need some new shoes and we need some new suits. So we're updating our wardrobe. We're not actually, tearing down walls and completely building more buildings. We're taking what we have and making it better.
Shane, seating in the Coliseum, some of the new seats are bigger. Will you lose any capacity?
Our goal is not to lose any capacity. We've had some preliminary talks with the seating company, and it should be a one-for-one exchange as part of that. Again, looking at the Coliseum, it's approaching 50 years old. We've never touched the interior bowl in 50 years. So, the seating, needs to be looked at. The lighting is, we did do the lights a number of years ago, but we are kind of on the tail end of that. The lighting has to change a little bit. And then we need to look at premium lounge areas and different things for our donors, and potentially look at the seating also of doing loge seating in the Coliseum.
Shane, have you ever looked at the top of this building? I mean, structurally, how is it holding up?
I hope okay. I'm working here every day, so I hope it's pretty strong. What's interesting, I talked about the overruns and the construction of the first phase, but I will tell you, this building's completely sound. There's not a problem with it. But as we dug into this building with the renovations on the concourse, I will tell you we were surprised that there were some beams that were not there, that we had to order new beams and reinforce some of the things that we currently had, which resulted in unexpected cost and overruns. So, this is probably the most iconic building in the state of West Virginia, maybe second to the Capitol, but maybe first. There's nothing like this building when you come up over top of the hill on 79 and see it lit up at night. That's part of the apron as well as the lighting on this building. But to put new lighting, LED lighting on the building, which we'd be able to change it, would be pretty cool. Game nights we can turn it blue and gold, and cancer gala events we can turn it pink. We can do green and blue at, don't mention green a whole lot in here, but green and blue at Christmas time. So a lot of different things, but this is the most iconic building. From the university standpoint, my vision to have a more uniform look is when you drive into Morgantown, most people are coming off of exit 155, and this is the first thing that you see as a university, and to make this more aesthetically pleasing and looking at it is my goal.
Increased parking, how many slots do you currently have? 500 new spaces at the old track. What will that increase your total to?
I wish I had that number. I don't have it. Fans will tell you it's not enough. We have a lot compared to a lot of other places. We have a lot of parking. We need more. It'll come out. They're doing some work on Monongalia Boulevard, putting a sidewalk on the, get my directions, on the far side away from the Coliseum, so that will take away some of the street parking that we've currently had. They did add new parking down at the crossings, which is less than a 5-minute walk. So that's been open for the last couple of years. We have changed the traffic patterns leaving the Coliseum of having 3 different exits. I'll tell you that's worked out remarkably well. We can clear this lot in 35, 40 minutes at max, getting people back to the interstate, getting people downtown or heading towards Cheat Lake. So, we have work to do, but we do need additional parking, and this will give us the opportunity to expand that area.
The current RFP that was released a couple months ago for the Coliseum, is that the first part of this, the design?
Yeah, for this building, that was the first step. The RFP was going out for the video board to make sure what that would look like, and we're starting to work through that process to, get ahead of the game, from a funding standpoint, to say this is the look that we want. To have the lighting, again, there's kind of a phased in. You have to do all those at the same time to make sure it works. So yes, all that kind of goes hand in hand.
You said 5 years for the whole all projects, but for football, that's the big ticket item. So do you have a vision of the timeline for that? That's
probably the most aggressive of 5 years. We need and want to do something after every season. So after this season, we'll start the visiting team locker room and that additional space. That will be done, obviously before the start of the next season. Then our next phase would be the biggest of the projects, which would be our own team locker rooms, meeting rooms, the coaches' areas, the academic Hall of Fame area. So our goal is to have that done. If you look at football, we've done a lot of things over there in the last several years. The training room, the new practice fields, obviously the renovations to the concourse and the stadium itself, and we got to keep moving with that. And It's all timing. It's inconvenience. You know, I want to thank our coaching staffs and our student athletes as we go through this process, because it's not like building a new building. You stay at the same place. You know, the dining hall, using that as an example, we've had to have a makeshift dining hall all summer for our student athletes to get that work done. We turned the visiting team locker room into our training room for the last 9 months to make sure the training room got done. Now the finished product, that's what your end result. But during that interim time, there's a lot of inconveniences. The same thing would happen with the locker room. Our student athletes and coaching staff from a team meeting room and a locker room will be inconvenienced. They understand that. The inconvenience for 9 months is the payoff for a number of years is the true benefit.
Shane, currently there are 1,682 parking spaces here in the Coliseum. So we would be adding 500 parking spaces to that.
1,682. Counting Michael's spot, 81. So we.
Any even thought philosophically about naming rights for the Coliseum eventually as you look to get the money for this?
Absolutely, Alan. That's part of a potential new revenue stream. We've explored that. We have outside consultants that have looked at it and working with Matt Wells from our marketing staff to be able to have something to go out and look at and see what we can do. But yes, naming rights is something that's a possibility in the future. Others? Well, thank you all for being here. I know Michael has a couple things that we'll show on the screens as we move forward. There's also larger renderings of the things I showed you today in the hallway. But, this is an exciting time for Mountaineer Athletics, and we're going to continue to grow, and we're going to continue to climb higher. So thank you all for being here. Let's go Mountaineers.